the start of a centering prayer group, everyone goes in, we sit in a circle, and we would sit in the silence for 20 minutes. At the end, the facilitator will ring a bell, letting us know that the sit is over. And we talk about it for an hour. We'll have a topic. The facilitator will, say, okay, today we're talking about shame or guilt or love or forgiveness or whatever it is, and everybody will go around the room and share their experience. And it's really cool to watch, because some of the hardest core people you would ever see in prison open up and cry. And it encourages other people who might not have that much courage to be open and vulnerable, open up as well. And it's pretty awesome. It's pretty awesome to watch.
And then we move into more sophisticated spots of what we call the shadow, which is even below the consciousness of the false self. The shadow is kind of the instinctual reaction when we're really not happy when our friend gets something good happens to our friend. We catch on to that too, and I think we come to terms with that as well. And we say, that's my shadow self. It's been with me forever. I don't think it's going to go anytime soon. But we sort of make peace with it, I think. Kind of like making peace with ambiguity. Like we used to talk about non-duality, remember that? And how non-duality was sort of the goal so that we could hold, positive and negative things about ourselves. And what I've discovered more recently is that there's a stage after that. There's a stage after coming to terms with the shadow that not only comes to terms with our shadow and our false self, but is a loving space where we can see ourselves beyond the movements of the false self or the movements of the shadow. And it's a sort of a loving gaze that we can give ourselves because we've come to terms as best as we can with the false self and with the shadow. And I thought, this is what the true self is. I've often thought, what does it feel like to be coming out of the true self? It never made much sense. I mean, it made theoretical sense to me, but it didn't make much practical sense to me. But it's all the things we talked about today that each of you talked about. This space is tender. This space is gentle. This space is non-judgmental. This space is kind. Not in great, but just in sort of the way we treat ourselves, such that we feel contained and affirmed and loved in that space. Like everything else, it's fleeting, but I think it's a legitimate thing to talk about that as the emergence of the true self. And it's like, God is really not leaving us, not abandoning us. He's filling us with God's self, and it just kind of emerges. What do you think? Does that make sense?
Sometimes words fail us, and sometimes we get stuck. And I got stuck early. I got stuck talking about a concept that's it's hard for people to agree on, right? The Jesus question, and the gospel is the good news, and it's the good news because it's supposed to make you feel good. If it makes you feel terrible, and somebody is interpreting it, telling you how you're supposed to feel about it, and you're supposed to feel terrible, then it's not adding up, right? And if Jesus felt like we what was available to him in terms of relationship was also available to us, and it meant so much that he carried it through to its end. Then he died to relieve us of the burden, died for our sins. That makes me feel good. That makes me, when I read about that, it makes me feel like, okay, yeah, this is the good news, man. I've been looking for the good news all over the place in this book. That's what it is for me. So I wanted to share that because I felt like I didn't do an adequate job before. So.
I think for people who have been through what we've been through, it's really good news because he died for us regardless of what we've done. I don't know, in centering prayer I find something that I don't really find in church. And it's hard for me to say that because I go to church to learn morals and values and find out, how to live my life. And centering prayer, it's a little different for me because I'm able to go, or God's able to go to the depths of my soul and relieve me of the shame and the guilt and the stuff that's been holding me back and contributing factors to my drug use and criminal activity. And it's freeing, and it's a really, it's a spiritual journey. And then you have the camaraderie and the brotherhood in the room. And there's no judgment or condemnation. We just love each other, and we feel, and we allow God to do His work. And for me, it's pretty special. I love you guys, man.
Likewise, for sure. It's it is hard to put into words, but for me, it's like an awakening, like the parable that you just did with the prodigal son. We were all prodigal, and we actually started waking up and feeling like, I don't want to do this. I don't want to be this. And just by having access to this practice, we get to tune into something that's not, like you said, not judgmental. It's like a lot of people that have been through what we've been through, and they haven't had the benefit of this centering prayer. They're still walking around feeling guilty and, and here we are, coming out of prison probably with some of us have some pretty serious offenses, but we're not looking down on ourselves, and we're not looking down on other people in our position. We're not looking down on anybody that's going through anything, because we're realizing that, circumstances had molded that behavior, but it molded that behavior while we were asleep. But now we're back awake, where we're not driven by, like we were saying, that false self, something, the ego that wants to prove something, we just want to experience the joy of living. We want to see everybody else around us feel the joy of living. We're not trying to harm nobody or take nothing away from anybody. We're trying to give and experience the goodness. And just by having that intention, our life turns beautiful. I'm sitting here and I am so fucking, happy, man. I see you with the love of your life. I see you with your woman with the love of your life. I see you, your woman with the love of your life. You got the love of your life. Oh yeah. I've got the love of my life waiting for me. You know what I mean? But and it's not just that. It's just the fact that when did our life actually turn beautiful? Did it?
When did the universe start conspiring to help us out?
Yeah. And it seemed like, when I got out and I started, for some reason, I don't even know what it was. It was like what do you call that thing? A paradigm shift, where you think the whole world is against you. And now I've switched to the others. The whole world, it seems interactive. Everywhere I go, people are, and I don't know, it's not, maybe it's not I don't know what I'm thinking, maybe it's the nature of people in general anyway that I wasn't noticing because I was so damaged by what my life experience was. But now when I come out to the world, all I see is, and I might be seeing through, what do you call those rose-colored glasses because I'm on this pink cloud of just getting out. But all I see is like goodness and people enjoying life and doing things that are, and before my life was based on what I had, material shit, cars, clothes, females, all this. And that stuff is not important. What's important is the relationships that I get so much, man, you don't know. Then again, you do know how good it feels to sit here with you guys, man, and know what we've been through, man, and know that, you brought this light to us, and now we're basking in this light, and it's something that's real, and it's something that can happen to others if you tune, it's almost like a person with the miracle cure, and he's trying to promote it. Look, all you have to do is this, and everybody's looking at you. It can't be that simple, but it is.
The thing is, it's always, when you talk like that, it strikes me is that it's not about willpower. It's not about saying, I'm going to do it. I'm going. I mean, there's some things in our life that's true, but this level that you're talking about, connecting with people and awakening and being excited about the opportunity, that has nothing to do with willpower. And the thing that strikes me too is that you all become attractive. That's not your intention. You're not. That's not. But that's what happens, right? So it has happened to all of you, clearly without an intent.
How do you explain that?
Beats the hell out of me. I don't know how to explain it, but it's true. You know that it's true. There's something mysteriously true about our interconnectivity. When you're with someone who's deeply grounded in the realities of life, they're attractive. They just are. And each of you has done that. Each of you, have attracted so many people to this practice simply by being who you are, I've asked each of you, how do you do it? Well, I don't know. The guy's asking me, what are you doing that makes you feel this way? You tell them, and they're attracted. Which, when you think about it, that's the great mystery of faith. Not faith in a dogma sense, right? The mystery of trust. So they trust you. They have an experience of, gee, what is going on with you? And you tell them, that's a trusting experience. And that's what brings them in. And trust gets stronger and stronger and stronger. So, we have this feeling of being with each other. We can trust each other. We can trust each other with our deepest stuff. That's pretty unusual. And stuff that makes us grateful, I think, certainly.
Very rare, because feeling emotions and feelings in prison is a sign of weakness. So the fact that we could all come together and be open and honest and real with each other and heal. I mean, we went to centering prayer to heal, and you're right, I don't know how it happened. It's the grace of God, the mystery of God is all how I can explain it, but you guys know things about me that nobody else knows. And I appreciate that.
You feel known and accepted.
And heard.
Which is, I think what happens, I think that's the experiential side of intimacy with God. Who knows how to describe that except to say, I feel known and my deepest part and accepted,
I have those same thoughts too. Like, there was like such an overwhelming explosion of everything that I saw was good. But I'm like, how come I didn't see it was this good when I was free? I was like, before I went to prison, I didn't see a veggie burrito in this light before, But it's not until you're denied, And so it's like, okay, well, if we experience this goodness and we understand it and we process it. So the question is the bad really bad? Because then the bad gives us an opportunity to understand what this goodness is. And then that's what makes me appreciate the bad. And I remember I was home one day and I was thinking about, wow, I'm really about to graduate with a bachelor's degree. It's like, how did I get here? You know? And then it was like, you go over the little, in chronological order, everything that transpired. And I'm not talented, you know, I'm not very lucky. But then it's like all these things that transpired that seemed like it was unlucky. But if I asked myself, like, if I had to do it all over again to get to this place of gratitude and absolute amazement of just the simple things in life, you know, I would honestly do it all over again. And people in my church ask me, like, you know, how did you be so successful? Of course, God. But then I tell them, you know what? Even a broken clock is right twice a day. You know, I failed my way to success. I failed so many times that the only option was success. So it's not talent, you know. It's embracing the failure. And that's what we did. We embraced our failures, our mistakes, and then we accepted it for what it was, and then we moved on up. And all we see is like, is beauty. It's beautiful. So it's not rose-colored glasses, Lawrence. It's your reality.
When I see how beautiful life is and how good people really are, I mean, just the essence of, just the core essence of people is good, you know? And it's like, how many people really know that? I mean, if you ask them, what's the core essence of people, they say, man, people are fucked up, or people are, or, you know, but it's not. People are good inside. And that's, once you connect with that goodness and don't let anything push you off of that goodness, you know, which, like you say, you can't do it by willpower. It is not willpower.
Whatever stage I happen to be on my own spiritual journey, like, you recognize the stages that you've been through in other people, and it makes it easy to be compassionate to that person, and you know, like, and be compassionate to the you that you know was in that spot before. Right?
God's essential nature is love, so that God cannot not love us. It's like it cannot happen. And so we either accept that or we don't accept it. You know, you accept it and things start working. And it has nothing to do with willpower.
Thou shalt not. Thou shalt not kill. Thou shalt not commit adultery. Thou shalt not covet. What it should be is, if you tune into the spirit of goodness that's in you, thou will not. You will not kill anybody. You will not steal nobody. You will not do any of those things. And that's what it is. And everybody's going around trying, like you say, it's not willpower. You're going around trying not to do these horrible things. But you know what? You're not. But if you tune into your real essence, you won't. It's impossible for you. I mean, you won't want to. You do not want to harm people. You do not want to hurt people. You don't want to take advantage of anybody. All you're going to do is just experience the goodness of another person and the goodness of life.
And I recognize why people were able to come in this group too, was that I wasn't attractive, like, in a sense where I glowed and I had a halo all of a sudden on my head, or, you know, I wanted to be around Polly all the time because he had a halo on his head because of this practice. It wasn't that. It was because I saw his actions. I saw the decisions he was making, and it made me think, like, how did all this all begin, you know? And in my journey, that's what I came to realize, is that once I started to come full circle with myself and face my demons, I started to make good decisions. And I see now why I'm so drawn to other people who make good decisions. Because there's something within themselves where they're not afraid to be who they are, who they want. They're not afraid to say the things that they think. You know, they're not afraid. They're just not afraid. You know, and especially not just in prison, but anywhere in life in general. Because to me, I see it as all the same. Yeah. Everyone's afraid to be themselves. Yeah. There's a lot of bullshit going on in life, you know? And fear plays a huge role in our lives because of, you know, how we feel about ourselves. We're afraid to do things. We're afraid to think certain things. And this practice, sitting still with yourself, whether you do it for God or not, the key is that you find yourself. The key is that you find yourself to the point where you're able to make decisions for yourself and not worry about nothing else outside of yourself. and be happy with it.
Thank you, B. Thank you. Well, I guess this is it, guys. I guess we just have to carry on until the next time. Thank you.